Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we're discussing a classic made from 2004 through 2023. This is the Breguet Classique Perpetual Calendar 5327. This is the BA model in yellow gold. Back in 2004, it was the successor to the previous 3310, and in the aftermath of the 2023 model year, we transitioned over to 7327, which succeeded this 39mm reference that year. So a model that is much loved and beautifully sized. The 5327 in yellow gold is 39mm in diameter, only 9.1 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 47.6 millimeters with a fairly standard 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. When you throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, it actually has more presence than its bare measurements would suggest. This looks like a larger watch. If I were guessing, I would say 41, partly because of the way the lugs are shaped, partly because the case is so broad and flat. It has the impression, at least the impression to the eye, and the knee-jerk response is that you're looking at a bigger watch. And yet, it could wear on a wrist of 15 centimeters circumference, so it's not super huge and it's not super thick. With a domed bezel and a flat profile, it is the consummate, one might say, short and tight cuff dress watch. French cuffs, exotic sleeves, not a problem. The strap. Large rectangular scale, medium brown, semi-gloss, slightly bolstered and stuffed, alligator leather. You can see the same on the opposite side, calfskin on the bottom. No crimping, no gouging, a brand new Breguet factory strap with calf underneath. You can see the edges. They're actually folded with a monotone stitch. You can see the condition is brand new. The clasp right here is a friction fit single fold deployant clasp. You can see right here that we have a little interlock of plug and socket so it snaps shut, and the Breguet logo with a bit of media blast for contrast. Taking a look, you can see that the buckle is held to the strap using a screw and a bar, and the strap is held to the case using the same method. Now, this is a very secure method. You can see there's a screw, there's a bar, there's a set screw on the bottom, and this prevents the strap from accidentally pulling out, as can sometimes happen with spring bars. With a heavy and expensive watch like this, you want the best. Breguet spends a little bit more money to do it right. The coining on the case is achieved by cold rolling and then hand finishing the case in a jig to clean up the aesthetic and make it look perfectly marked. The lugs are welded on by the old school manual method to create the super sharp break between lug and case. They're hand filed to get that sharp break. Another way that this case is handmade and more expensive than it needs to be. The mid case is defined by the overlapping flanges of the symmetrically shaped domed caseback and bezel, and then we roll around the crown, which has a Breguet B, and they thought of everything. There's a little kerf underneath the crown so you can more easily stick your nail in and pull the crown out. Taking a look at the dial is made of solid gold. So it is first cut using straight line engines and rose lathes. Once the multiplicity of different guilloches has been applied, then it is silvered. The secret signature is applied using a pantograph, so it is actually written by hand using a large end of the pantograph, and then the small end of the pantograph inscribes the dial. The original counterfeit watches were made during the era of Abraham Louis Breguet in the late 18th and early 19th century, and one of the methods he devised for defeating counterfeiters was to have a very small signature of the maker's mark on the dial. That is why this is called the secret signature. Now, on historic Breguet pocket watches, it was generally only visible at a certain angle, whereas here it's more obvious to make it readily accessible to the owner. You can see how different these cuts are along the dial. Anything but a generic repetitive guilloche. The guillocheur would have been very busy reprogramming and recamming his machine to create all of these different cuts. So solid gold guilloche, genuine rose lathe guilloche, secret signed, and then silvered. The hands, which are Breguet style for the minutes and the hours, they are all fired to give them a lovely lustrous blue hue. We've got quite a bit going on. We have a little anthropomorphic moon phase design. We have a power reserve indicator, 45 is the max. We have a perpetual calendar that has the leap year phase, it has the day, it has the month, it has the date. And then you can see we actually have 3 hands coaxial at center. Perpetual calendar, so the moon phase doesn't have to be set for 122 years after it's been set, and the calendar will not make an error until the year 2100, can deal with leap years and irregular length months, no problem. We have an extraordinarily decorated, fully freehand engraved Breguet caliber on the reverse side. Now they call this the 502.3 DR. Actually, it's the DRP1, but it's based on a Breguet P71. So you can see that it's got the P71's distinctive combination of a 3/4 rotor and an open barrel. And this is the 3 Hertz beat rate version, equipped with a free sprung balance for greater precision of adjustment and shock resistance, all this pivoting on 38 joules. And you can see that it is an extraordinary feat of hand craftsmanship, such that no two will be exactly alike. And taking a quick look at the rotor, you can see how it's been both skeletonized and freehand engraved, with the Breguet B entirely evacuated. You can also see a floral motif over the bearing at center, and then you can see banknotes scrolling across all of the surfaces with several different sizes of pegwood engine-turned perlage on the base plate, all screw heads black polished, and the edge of every exposed bridge and rotor beautifully anglage mirrored. You could really see the anglage lighting up here. This is a work of art. Again, automatic winding, 45-hour power reserve, free sprung, perpetual calendar, and moon phase. But you buy this watch because the case is made by hand, the dial is made by hand, the movement is made by hand. If you ask, when have the best finished Breguet watches been made historically, the answer would not involve Breguet or his progeny. The answer is today, and it's watches like this, easily the equal of Patek Philippe, Vacheron, Audemars Piguet. I almost don't want to compare some of AP's mainstream watches to this, because there is no comparison. This deserves to be compared with the like of the finest boutique independent brands, and yes, it's really that good. It's also a great buy for what it is. That's the magic of Breguet. Swatch Group's loss. People don't know how special these watches are, but pre-owned, they are the ultimate savvy purchase. The watch is 30 meters water resistant, but it's not really an aquatic timepiece, so don't take it swimming. For everything else, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.